Hello, I'm Christopher Bayliss from Engage FastGrowth. I'm joined today by Andy Galloway from Hantech FastGrowth, a sister company of Engage FastGrowth. Before we start, can you just tell us briefly what Hantech FastGrowth does?
Yes, thank you. We engage with our small corporate clients to implement fast growth strategies with them so they triple the value of their company within 3 years.
Wow. And what's your role?
I'm the commercial director.
Good. Today, Andy, we're focusing on this workbook, Develop Your Winning Attitudes Towards Fast Growth, which you've downloaded.
Yes.
And you've not seen this workbook before, have you?
No.
Okay. The purpose of this workbook, as it says on the covering page, is to develop your winning attitude towards achieving fast growth in your company. Why? Because if you've certainly got a negative attitude or a losing attitude, you won't achieve fast growth. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
And the 12-month sales goal is that through your winning attitude, not only yourself as business leader, but through your company, you substantially increase your sales, profit and market value.
Sounds good.
Okay, what's the problem? Well, the problem is in small companies and corporates. I'm going to focus on a corporate at the moment. Often these negative attitudes can destroy any chance they have of achieving real success, real growth.
Yes.
May I illustrate it with a company? I'm not going to show you their name, that wouldn't be fair, but it is a real company, okay?
Please do.
I'm going to talk about a positive and a negative, okay? Several years ago, one of their cars, it's a motor company, an international motor company, one of their cars won the European Car of the Year award, which is bloody hard to do. It's a very competitive thing to do.
Mm.
And because of negative attitudes in that company, I was with one of the dealers once, at the time, and I said, what do you think about the parent company winning the award for this particular company? And this dealer said, it's a kiss of death. And I said, why do you think it's the kiss of death? He said, well, the Ford, what's his name, won it last year, and the Chrysler won it the year before, and something else, and the Fiat won it the year before, and they've all been commercial disasters. And it'll be the same for us. Which I thought was pretty well damn negative.
Mm.
About 6 months later, they produce engines, V8 engines, to go in very high performance Grand Prix cars like this. Okay, and they were winning the race. I won't say where it was. And the car came in for tyres and fuel. In those days it was both fuel and tyres. And they put on the 4 tyres in 8 seconds, and off they zoomed up the pit lane. And going down the pit lane, the nut that seals the wheel hadn't been put on properly, and the rear wheel came off and the car went to the side, and that was the end of the race for that driver. So he lost that particular race and damaged their chances of winning the championship. A day later I was with the same dealer, and all he could talk about was how hopeless that company is. I said, how do you mean hopeless? He said, well, we can't even put a wheel on properly. And I said, well, hang on, you've just developed an award-winning engine that's faster than anybody else. But he was just focusing on the negative. Can you see how discounting the success of winning the car of the year and also wallowing in something quite trivial, really, was completely ruining that company's chance of commercial success?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I've got 3 hints with this particular workbook, Andy. If you turn to page 1, which I think you have there, and I'll show the camera. So on page 1, assess your winning attitude towards fast growth. Using the grid below as the business leader, and do this first for yourself before involving your team, assess the 4 key success factors for your future fast growth. Use a scale of 1 to 10. Can you read the first 2 success factors?
Yes. Number 1, your fast growth goal, the boldness of your key goal for your company over the next 2 years.
And that's highlighted. How bold is it, the boldness? Second one, please.
Number 2, your self-belief, the power of your self-belief that your company will achieve this goal.
And as you know, I think there is a FastGrowth workbook specifically on self-belief, but this is slightly different. This is more subtle. Number 3 is the business results, the quality of your recent business results in achieving your FastGrowth goal. And number 4, the one we're focusing on today, winning attitude, the positivity of your attitude towards these FastGrowth results. So what I'm encouraging everybody to do is to rate themselves on a scale 1 to 10, where 1 is barely adequate and 10 is outstanding against those. And then to draw their strategic conclusions. Absolutely vital start to the whole change process with winning attitudes.
Yes.
Make sense?
Yes.
Secondly, I'm a great believer in diagrams. On page 3, Andy, and for the viewer here, there's a thing I call the doom descent. Can you just read, Andy, what's on the top of that page? It's called breakout of the doom descent.
When their company's results are lower than anticipated, an effective business leader helps their company to break out of the potential doom descent. They reverse the setback. How effective are you at this? Put your score in box C.
Okay, which is that box there. Now, so over here, and we all have had that, lower company results than anticipated. We have a very famous, in Britain, a very famous and large supermarket called Tesco. And for the last 20 years, they've grown spectacularly. Mm-hmm. But in the last year or so, their results have plateaued and now declined.
Yes.
And they're being attacked by low-cost supermarkets like Aldi and Lidl, etc. So lower company results than anticipated. I feel sorry for that CEO because it's a public company and that will take some doing to turn that around. Okay? And many people have very negative self-talk about these results.
Yes.
Remember I said about the racing car and the negative self-talk. Self-talk is how we talk to ourselves. Can you just take us down this doom loop?
Yes. In box marked A then, negative self-talk about the results leads to self-blame, which leads to self-pity, which leads to a poor self-image and even lower company results.
Can you see how that happens? It happens in sport, it happens in business, it happens in life with individuals, doesn't it?
It does.
Okay. So what's the alternative? What's the option? So if you move across to that side of the page, okay, when there is a setback, what's the process to do?
Well, if we decide to go down the route of box B, then we reverse the setback. We stop it. So number 1 is stop it. Number 2 is that's not like us. Number 3, the next time we do it this way. Number 4, so that we achieve our desired goal.
Assuming people got a goal, and if they've done FastGrowth, they will certainly have goals, that's for sure. Okay. And at the bottom there's some principles for avoiding those debilitating doom descent. I think this country, certainly after the Second World War, got into one of these.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't a sort of certain lady Prime Minister came along that she changed that. So it's not just companies and individuals, it's all countries. So at the bottom of page 3 are 3 principles, which I'm going to ask Andy to read now.
There are 3 useful principles for avoiding a debilitating doom descent in yourself and your company. Number 1, let go of the mental rubbish that you have to be perfect. Number 2, have the attitude that when mistakes and setbacks happen, you learn from these. And number 3, no one can insult you about a setback or a mistake. An insult is something only you can do to yourself. So be gentle on yourself. Remember, when you speak to yourself, watch your language.
Okay, the second hint, and something I'm really proud of, is on page 4. And it's this diagram here. It's reinforce your winning attitude in yourself. I'm just going to talk you through it, really. What we want on the far side is higher performance, higher achievement. And that ultimately is determined by your self-image. You know, all other things being equal. If you think of tennis players, top tennis players, great skills, great stamina, great strength. Ultimately, it's the self-image that they've got when they get into the final at Wimbledon that's probably going to make the difference between winning and coming second. So self-image very much determines the achievement. However, and you can probably allude to this, about every achievement, we talk to ourselves. It's a self-talk about an achievement, good and bad. And here we're focusing on probably the negative self-talk that can really impact a person's performance. So if you've just played a double fault and you're in the championship in Wimbledon, the final match, if you're not very careful, what would be the self-talk about that if you're a player?
It'd be very negative. It would be about my inadequacies rather than my potential.
And what's it going to do to your self-image?
Well, it's going to bring my self-image down. I'm not going to feel worthy to be the champion.
So the way to break out of that, when there's a negative or lower than hopeful performance, is to listen for your self-talk and develop improved self-talk.
Yes.
And we alluded to that on the page. So there is listen for it and reverse it. Or when there's a success, when you win a point on a fantastic shot, reinforce success. Can you just read the reinforced success, please?
Yes, to reinforce the successes, we say, that's like us. Well done. Keep on doing this so that we achieve our desired goal.
We're being filmed today, and I'm doing 50 of these workbooks, and our excellent director, his name is Rob Goodwin, and every time we do a shot, which is quite a tense thing for me, he says, well done. And specific things I do. So thank you very much. That's been really helpful. So those are the 3 hints, really, that first of all, look at the factors for fast growth to do with goals, self-belief and business results, but particularly the attitude, score yourself. And if you can score 10 out of 10 eventually out of all those things, you'll have the growth that you want. Secondly, remember the doomed descent. Remember the racing car, rubbishing yourself and wallowing in successes. Many individuals, countries, individuals wallow in this thing. When there's a setback, when there's something that's not as good as once hoped, reverse it. And then finally, remember the self-talk cycle. Of all the things in the 50 workbooks, that is probably one of the most powerful things.
Absolutely.
And so develop it in yourself, evaluate the benefits of doing this stuff, and start doing it. On page 6, develop your winning attitudes towards fast growth. What are your immediate actions? So this is the first time you've seen this workbook.
Yes.
What are your immediate actions likely to be?
I think it's going to be a tremendous tool for us to work with our teams and develop my own winning attitude towards fast growth, and then pass that on into the company to make sure we're all pulling in the same direction and we all have the same attitude, good attitude towards our forthcoming successes.
Yeah, which I think will be legion. Andy, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Christopher.
May I wish you every success with the growth of Handtech Fast Growth.
Thank you very much.